Welcome to Spectrum News at 10, coming to you live from Uyo. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Let's take a look at the top stories. President Tinubu receives briefing from Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Shaibu, on insecurity. Vice President Shettima says economy now predictable, stable. Plus, Trump asks Supreme Court to overturn Eugene Carroll's verdict. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in just a moment. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us on the news. First in the news this morning is that President Bola Tinubu has received security briefs from the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Y.D. Shaibu, on the security situation in the Northeast region. The meeting was the first official engagement between the President and the COAS since his appointment and subsequent decoration as an Army Chief. In a brief interview shortly after the meeting, Shaibu said he had visited the region for an on-the-spot assessment of the theater of operation to ascertain the level of progress being made in the fight against terrorism. Meanwhile, President Tinubu charged them to carry out their duties with patriotic zeal as Nigerians are in a hurry to celebrate peace and expect results, not excuses. He also advised them to work together, deploying technology where necessary, and defeat the enemy once and for all. In the meantime, Vice President Kashim Shettima has said that the era of volatility and unpredictability that once characterized the nation's economy has ended. He credited the ongoing reforms of President Bola Tinubu's administration for restoring stability and investor confidence. Shettima spoke yesterday in Abuja at the opening of the Digital Nigeria International Conference and Exhibition. The Vice President noted that the current administration has been compelled to take bold decisions in response to global economic uncertainties marked by shocks, shifting alliances, and the rapid displacement of traditional jobs by emerging technologies. Moving away from that, the federal government has inaugurated the Inter-Ministerial Committee on the Ban of Single-Use Plastics, SUPs, marking a significant step towards environmental and sustainability, as well as waste management reform in the country. In his inaugural speech, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, said the ban was an initiative that aligned with Nigeria's commitment to global environmental standards and the resolve to reduce plastic pollution that posed serious threats to public health, ecosystems, and marine life. The committee, which comprises key representatives from various ministries, departments, agencies, and stakeholders organizations, is charged with the mandate to coordinate and oversee the implementation of policies and strategies aimed at phasing out single-use plastics nationwide. From the red chambers now, the Senate has rejected the explanations provided by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, regarding the 210 trillion naira outstanding against the oil firm. It came to the conclusion that the money, which had not been accounted for, must be refunded to the Federation account by the company. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts, chaired by Aliyu Wadada, which has been on the probe for months, took the decision after the Group Chief Executive Officer, GCEO of the NNPCL, Bayo Ojulare, failed to turn up at its resumed sitting at the National Assembly. The session was called to give the NNPCL the opportunity to make clarifications on the answers the company provided to the 19 questions the panel asked the firm about the 210 trillion naira. Following a review of the operations of the NNPCL from 2017 to 2023, the committee cited the unexplained transaction totaling 103 trillion naira accrued expenses and 107 trillion naira receivables in the audited financial statements of the firm, prompting it to raise the queries. However, at a resumed session, Senator Wadada frowned at the absence of Ojulare, whom the committee said gave no reasons for staying away, consequently rejecting the explanations. Meanwhile, the chairman of the committee, Senator Aliyu Wadada, while speaking on the panel's findings, said the responses were not only unsatisfactory, but were also contradictory. In the meantime, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of Agbaje Opeyemi Olukayode Southwest by President Bola Tinubu for appointment as the chairman of the National Pension Commission (PENCOM). The Senate also confirmed 4 other nominees for appointment as National Commissioner of the agency. They are Hafiz Ibrahim, OON, Commissioner Technical Southwest; Samuel Uwandu, CPA, Commissioner Inspectorate Southeast; Charles Emukowate, Commissioner Finance South-South; and Bello Malabo, Commissioner Administration Northeast. The resolution of the Senate followed its consideration and adoption of the report of its Committee on Establishment and Public Service. In a separate development, the Minister of State for Education, Professor Shaibu, has said that federal unity colleges are ready to integrate artificial intelligence (AI) into their teaching activities. She said the colleges have the necessary facilities, adding that there are provisions also to ensure that the resources needed are provided to the schools. The minister said the government would train teachers and principals on how to effectively implement the program in the new curriculum. Ahmed spoke yesterday in Lagos at this year's annual general meeting (AGM) of principals of Federal Unity Colleges, hosted by the Southwest Zone. In another development, tension erupted in the Gaduwa district of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) when the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and his entourage were stopped by soldiers from assessing a disputed parcel of land. The confrontation created a scene as both parties exchanged heated words over control of the property. The soldiers reportedly blocked Wike's convoy from entering the site, claiming they were acting on directives from a former Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Zubairu Gambo. Wike's team accused the officers of unprofessional conduct and attempting to intimidate government officials. The minister, who expressed displeasure over the incident, condemned what he described as acts of impunity and vowed that his administration would not tolerate any unauthorized occupation or development of land in the FCT. Despite his position, the soldiers refused to vacate the area, maintaining they were under strict orders to secure the property. We move now to Africa, where Egypt's top diplomat has met with Sudan's military leader in a renewed push to advance a ceasefire plan as the war-torn nation faces a catastrophic humanitarian situation following the paramilitary capture of a key Darfur city. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdel-Lati met with General Abdel Fattah Burhan in Port Sudan. reiterating Cairo's condemnation of atrocities in El Fasher and stressing the need to commit to the peace plan announced in September by a quartet including the US, Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. The proposed plan envisions a 3-month humanitarian truce, followed by a 9-month political process to resolve the conflict that has killed at least 40,000 people and misplaced 12 million. Still in Africa, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has said that Senegal retained its sovereign right to decide how to deal with its debt. It made the comments after discussing various options with Dakar on how to address the country's significant debt vulnerabilities. The IMF said the policy talks last week were part of the organization's role to offer expert analysis and advice for government consideration. Reports say Senegal has been facing difficulties since last year after the then-new government disclosed hidden debt that are now estimated at more than $11 billion. We move now to the foreign scene, where U.S. President Donald Trump has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the $5 million civil judgments that found he allegedly defamed and sexually abused writer Jean Caro. Trump's legal team argues that the trial judge, Lewis Kaplan, wrongly allowed evidence that unfairly influenced the jury's opinion of him. However, a federal appeals court upheld the jury's decision last year, ruling that Judge Kaplan did not make any errors that justified a new trial. Meanwhile, Jean Caro had accused Trump of sexually assaulting her in the 1990s and later defaming her by calling her claims a hoax on social media, an allegation Trump has consistently denied. Still on the foreign scene, France's Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot has criticized military operations in the Caribbean at a G7 meeting yesterday as the deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier strike. Let's go on a very short break, and when we return, we'll complete the rest of our news stories. Many thanks for staying with us. Welcome back. Now we conclude the rest of our news stories. Still on the foreign scene, France's Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot has criticized military operations in the Caribbean at a G7 meeting yesterday as the deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group escalated in arms build-up in the region. Speaking to reporters at the start of the Group of 7 gathering in Canada, Barrot said it was crucial to avoid instability caused by potential escalations after Venezuela warned the U.S. deployment could trigger a full-blown conflict. The comments came after the U.S.'s Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, entered an area under the control of the U.S. Naval Forces Southern Command, which encompasses Latin America and the Caribbean. And on our business news, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, has reassured stockbrokers and the investing community that the outcomes of the engagement on the capital gains tax would be in the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. Edun gave the assurance at the closing gong ceremony to commemorate the listing of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund Series 2 on the Nigerian Exchange report. Reports say stakeholders in the capital market had expressed concerns about the capital gains tax set to go into effect in January, saying that it may discourage foreign investors and dampen activities in the Nigerian equity market. The capital gains tax is charged on profits gains realized from the disposal or sale of shares or other equity instruments. In health, the federal government says deductions made from the October 2025 salaries of civil servants were due to the commencement of statutory contributions to the National Health Insurance Authority, NIHA. In a circular, the government explained that the mandatory NHIA deductions began in October, leading to the reduction noticed across ministries, departments and agencies. The circular was titled Implementation of Statutory Deduction for the National Health Insurance Scheme. The clarification followed widespread complaints by federal workers on social media over unexplained salary cuts ranging from 1,000 naira to 2,000 naira. Still talking health, the newly appointed Minister of Humanitarian Resources and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Bernard Doer, has assumed office with a pledge to work closely with the staff of the ministry to improve the lives of Nigerians living below the poverty line. Speaking during his assumption of duty at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja, Doer promised to drive initiatives that would make hope a reality for millions of disadvantaged citizens, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. He said by statistics, the country have over 60% of Nigerians living in multi-dimensional poverty, and he believed Nigeria can do better with the resources it has as a country. Emphasizing teamwork and institutional trust, the minister urged staff to embrace collaboration and transparency. Now to sports, where Super Eagles captain William Troost-Ekong has debunked reports that the players have demanded a special bonus for the 2026 FIFA World Cup playoffs. The players boycotted training in Rabat, Morocco yesterday to demand payment of their outstanding bonuses and allowances. According to reports, the Super Eagles are awaiting a quick resolution to continue the preparation for Thursday's game with Gabon. The centre-back debunked speculations that the players are holding the country to ransom by asking to be paid a special bonus. Still in sports, Carlos Alcaraz came through a thriller against Taylor Fritz to move within one win of the year-end world #1 ranking. The Spanish top seed Alcaraz battled back to overcome American Fritz 6-7, 2-7, 7-5, 6-3 in a high-quality 2-hour and 48-minute contest. But despite achieving back-to-back victories, Alcaraz must wait to confirm his place in the knockout stages after Musetti's staggering victory against Alex Dominar. In our entertainment news, Nigerian singer Simishola Kosoko, popularly known as Simi, has earned her first ever foreign certification with her hit song, Duduke. This is as the song recently earned certified gold in New Zealand for selling 15,000 units, making it her first international accolade. Released in 2022, Duduke expresses the rhythmic beat of Simi's heart for her unborn child. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Good morning.